Sound is not coming. Vipaji, sound is not coming. विभाजी आपको अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा. विभाजी आपका आपका माइक ओपन करिए.
A life. That is what is, whether at a distance or near or within us, is in this context the factual side of the situation. What should be, in contrast, is the imagination, is the projection of the mind as per its beliefs, as per its conditionings. What is what is actually around us or within us without our coloring it. So, the interesting part is, because of certain conditionings, because of some beliefs, suppose we are seized with fear, we are affected by some insecurity, then maybe what caused that insecurity is some belief or some conditioning, some conceptual matter. But all the same, the insecurity that we are experiencing is what is. Therefore, let us not think that what is something that is free from any hassles, free from the so-called imperfections. Let's not bring in these words, imperfections and so on. What is could be what actually there is inside or outside. Before proceeding, I would say that this topic, what is intimately connected to a mystical statement, you are the world. In the statement, you are the world, this huge, vast, almost infinite world is said to be no different from us. So it may first seem like a very far-fetched statement. How can I be this world? How can I be the distant galaxies? How can I be the Eiffel Tower in Paris or the Statue of Liberty in New York? All that is the world. And the statement says, you are the world. Therefore, we must be clear that in the statement, you are the world, what is meant is the world as perceived by you is a reflection of your beliefs and conditionings. The physical Eiffel Tower is not you, but when you see the Eiffel Tower, suppose you are filled with awe, suppose you are utterly indifferent, suppose you begin to think about how France is such a marvelous country and how India is not so good, has a long way to go, or something like that. These kind of additional ideas, labels, and the resulting joy or sorrow, pride or low self-esteem, etc., they don't belong to the physical structure of the Eiffel Tower or the Statue of Liberty. Sometimes you and I feel great about ourselves. Sometimes we feel low about ourselves. And these swings of emotion, swings of mood have so much to do with our conditionings. So coming to what is, we must now add that even as we see something outside us, if we are able to pay attention to what our mind is making of that external object or place or person, what our mind is making of it. When M.K. Gandhi was growing up, he saw a tall Britisher going on a horse. Gandhi writes it in his autobiography, My Experiments with Truth. And he says, looking at the tall white man going on a horse, my heart sank. I felt, oh, this European must be very strong, very happy, very accomplished. I have a long way to go before I could become as great as he is. Now, that is what Mohandas made out of that white man. The white man in the scenario could have been actually weak, maybe sick also, who knows, and may not be happy at all. Appearances can be deceptive. However, the conditioned mind of Mohandas Gandhi came to the conclusion, I must be like him. Maybe he also thought, how I wish I also had white skin like he has. So that is called what should be. I should have been fair-skinned. I should have been tall. I should have been going on a horse. All this is what should be. As we inquire into life, we realize that hundreds of ideas of what should be fall apart. They fall like a house of cards. And by paying attention to what is, inside us there comes about a great healthy change. Please note that what is not some idealized state of mind or idealized picture of things around us. What is how the mind of ours is either painting a picture of the outer world or painting a picture of ourselves. We judge the outer world, some objects, some persons, etc., in either enviable way or despicable way, and we do the same with respect to ourselves too. I am so good. Sometimes we get the feeling. Or some other time, I am so worthless. We get anger. We get some other emotion. We are not saying that state of how we are by itself is very special or anything. Don't add any adjectives. But what we are saying is, if we are able to pay attention to whatever at a certain given moment of time is going on in the mind, one last time with regard to something outside or with regard to our own worth, our own value, either way. We pay attention to what is. I may be reading a book on non-violence, and the ideas and ideologies in that book could be very uplifting. However, even as I read that, who knows? In my mind, there could be some violence rising. I might get very angry with somebody who comes to my mind. I might compare him with somebody else who lost his life because of this man. So I start labeling A as violent and bad, B as the victim who lost his life, and I take sides with A, or I take sides with B and get very sore about A. So please see, a number of things keep happening inside us. We become partial, we become biased. We sometimes feel like leaving everything and going away. Some other time we get excited to get into some field of work, and even idealistic thoughts of, let me sacrifice my life for this cause, and so on. We begin to imagine we are going to be a hero. Maybe we will be a martyr. If we lose our life in the process, we will be a martyr. So lots of ideas fill our mind. And what is has nothing to do with the further outcome of these thoughts. The further outcome of these thoughts, these ideas, these concepts could go in any direction. That's a different matter. But if we can, in a manner of saying, stand apart and notice that here is excitement, here is fear, here is awe at seeing something outside. If we are able to notice what is happening, that has great value. We tend to be drawn outwards into working out details of a plan, of an idea, of a certain project, some prospects of some relationships. I will get near to this man or that lady, and then I will have these benefits, these advantages. Let me get close to this man. Then I will enter another circle of maybe highly well-placed people in this town, the mind starts fancying. You know what is here? What is not about questioning whether certain benefits accrue to us or not. What is to notice the exercise that the mind is into. In simple words, what is a call for living in self-awareness. And we should not limit self-awareness to some small enclosure of ourselves. Self-awareness is awareness of how the self is moving, how the self swells or shrinks, how the self rides a high wave or passes through a low crest, like ups and downs of the rising and falling waves, I mean. So, the self is constantly related to the outer world. So, though we use the word self-awareness, a proper awareness of the self takes into its embrace our perception of outer world too. So let's not imagine that we are driving ourselves into a shell of the so-called self. In that sense, the self is like a crystal ball. On one hand, the crystal ball is placed on a table. It's located on the table. But on the other, on the surface of the crystal ball, all the surroundings are reflected. So if you notice the crystal ball, you not only notice the crystal ball, but also see what is reflected in it. 360 degrees above and below are all reflected in that crystal ball. So in the self, in the little I, which swells with pride or shrinks with hurt and so on, we actually get an understanding of the entirety of our existence at a given point of time. No wonder certain thinkers have said that all the teachings of Sri J. Krishnamurti are essentially about paying attention to what is. His major or most important appeal to his audience is not to get carried away by some concept, some ideal, some picture of what we can be, what we should be, what we will be, and so on. As you know, his appeal was not about pursuing or chasing some enlightenment, some illumination, some freedom, some emancipation, etc. Philosophical books have so many concepts. And as you know, Krishnaji discouraged us from even pursuing enlightenment. For enlightenment also becomes an artificiality when it is held in thought. There may be something called enlightenment. We are not questioning that. Maybe there are people who are enlightened. We are not questioning that. But if we make enlightenment a goal, enlightenment is our ideal, then thought, with all its conditionings, its baggage of memories, makes enlightenment into a concept, and then the self revolves around it. the self has lot of hopes and expectations and fancy and fear, like some students of this kind of teachings begin to imagine enlightenment, and then following that imagination, they actually get anxious. Oh, we may never get enlightened. Enlightenment may not be our cup of tea. Now you see, the self is going into many moods, and Krishnaji's appeal was, forget this enlightenment, see what is happening in the mind, what the self is going through. So being with what is something very subtle, but something that is extremely significant. Many a time you and I talk about introspection. So here also, one of you may wonder whether being with what is one form of introspection. I would neither totally dismiss it, nor would agree with it. Because this word introspection generally has a connotation of going down the memory lane, how from the time I got up this morning or in the last 3 days, how I behaved, where I got angry, where I felt insulted, what was my wrongs I did, what right things I did, judging, analyzing, putting myself in a pigeonhole. I was good there, I was good here, and so on and so forth. That's a terrible affair. That's a mess, really. In the name of introspection, the self gets more and more strengthened. Therefore, introspection may be a word which by itself may have a bearing on being with what is, but the way the word introspection has been used in this world, the way the word introspection has gone about, or the way people have pictures about introspection, what introspection means to people, it is far, far away from what we are taught. Take one dimension alone. Introspection generally involves analysis. Why did I get angry? Why did I scold her? Why did I admire him? Why did I want to buy that object in a shop? Why did I get so attracted to something? We analyze, we try to find a cause, whereas what is not such analysis. Analysis, Krishnaji said, is a paralysis. What it means is, as we get into analyzing, finding out causes for some particular behavior on our part, unknowingly, the self in us gets more strengthened. And when the self gets strengthened, it is rightly called paralysis. There's no exaggeration. What is paralysis? When somebody says, my left hand is paralyzed, it means my left hand is unable to move. Likewise, when the self in us gets strengthened, then really there is no movement. We become rigid. We are so opinionated. negatively or positively, it doesn't make difference. To think high of ourselves is as bad as to think low of ourselves. Whereas not to think of ourselves is what we are looking at. So the strengthening of the self is akin to paralysis. So we have all kinds of so-called contemplation, meditation, self-analysis, self-inquiry. We talk about 100 things. But what is being with what is unique. Really speaking, to be with what is not about doing something. In a whole lot of so-called spiritual exercises that people take up, there is something to be done. Something to be done using the body, hands, etc. Hold the nose, bring the hands into samudra, something they do physically. Or something to do with our breath. Breathe in a certain way. Something to do with introducing some emotions. Something to do with bringing a picture of something consciously, with conscious effort into ourselves. In being with what is, please see, there is nothing of that sort. You don't do anything, and the habitual mind may do something, but to be with what is to be aware of what the habitual mind is doing or has done. You don't introduce any emotion, nor do you chase away any emotion. Therefore, the expression what is. So, if at a distance there is a flower, I look at it and I say, there is a flower. That is what is. Likewise, within me, if there is some hurt, I notice what is hurt. Sometimes you go to a place and there are a few people and they have not said anything to you, nor have you said anything to them, but you feel uncomfortable in their company. You feel like fish out of water. You wish to just walk away as early as possible from that assembly. Now you know what? To be aware of that discomfort. Sometimes in a one-to-one relationship, like a young lady in Bangalore once said to me, generally you hear about conflicts between daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. For a change, this young lady said to me about the tremendous discomfort she has about her father-in-law. He said to me, I can never forget this sentence. He said, my father-in-law is somebody whom it is extremely hard to love. I don't think I can ever love a person like this father-in-law. Instead of saying I hate him, she said, I can't love him. You know what? In that kind of discomfort that she feels about her father-in-law, maybe the father-in-law visits them, her and her husband, once a year for 2 months. That's about it. He lives in some other town actually, but he comes to his son's house and for 1 or 2 months he is their guest. Those 2 months become so hard for this daughter-in-law. in that particular case. So there may be certain objective sides to this whole matter, but the daughter-in-law would do well to be aware of the operation of the self in herself. Maybe she is so used to praise, and this in-law once in a while criticizes her about her dress, about her language, about the way she cooks, about the way she has kept the house, whatever. The father-in-law calls a spade a spade. If something is disorderly, maybe he says in the gentlest possible way. He may call her, my child, this table, this shelf is so disorderly. Why is it so messy? And he may just smile at her. But since he is so used to being praised always, being appreciated always, all she wants from the whole world probably is, you are wonderful, what you do is wonderful, everything about you is wonderful. That's what she is used to. Alas, being caught in that kind of psychological habit of receiving only praise, the gentlest remark by her father-in-law about something not being okay in the house embarrasses her. She feels out of place. She feels very much like going away from him. So, in this kind of scenario, I would repeat, the young lady would do well. It will be in her interest to give to herself some space, some time, some leisure, in which she begins to understand without analyzing, without judging, without coming to some specific opinion about herself, without saying, I am a bad daughter-in-law, or without saying, I am a good daughter-in-law, but this man is a bad father-in-law. Keep away this good and bad, high and low, right and wrong, sin and merit. Keep away all those. They may have a place of their own in some other kind of setting. All religions talk about merit and sin, punya and papa. Law books talk about right and wrong. And somewhere else you talk about good and bad. Somewhere else you talk about beautiful and ugly. Leave all of them aside. Don't have any specific yardstick with you. Just notice, I am uncomfortable. Without even using the word uncomfortable or at ease, without using any word, be aware of whatever is happening inside you, that is, being with what is. The moment you bring a word, the moment you say, I'm uncomfortable because I'm so sensitive, I'm a very emotional person, and my father was never like this man, this my husband's father. How good my father was and how bad this father-in-law is. This noise can take you away from what is. But I would hasten to add that if there is certain mental noise, to resist that noise, to say, oh, my mind is noisy, this is so bad, my mind is not cooperating. That is like adding fuel to the fire. You make matters worse. Bear with that noise. Some noise has risen again. Be with that noise. Like keeping a wounded child on your lap and showing some care to the child. Bear with the noise there with the mood swings, there with whatever is going on in you. It developed over a length of time, but now step out of time. When you are with what is, you are no more on the axis of time. Thoughts on the axis of time developed into a structure. Whereas to notice thought, to be with what is not an operation on the axis of time. If you ride on thought, if you identify with thought, if you hug the thought, or if you are pushing thought to push it away, then you got caught in time. Without pushing a thought away, without embracing or bringing some thought inside, what I mean is, without either befriending a thought or becoming an enemy of thought, none of this. Here is thought, and can we be with it? Can we be with what that thought is saying? So this call for being aware is often called self-awareness. But as I cautioned before, in the name of self-awareness, we are in no way talking about avoiding the outer world, avoiding people, avoiding society, avoiding places of religion, avoiding places of politics. There is no conscious avoiding. There is no resolve. There is no, like in organizations, trusts, etc. They make a resolution. It is resolved. Blah, 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 blah. In a meeting, they resolve. Here, in this matter, you don't resolve at all. Therefore, there is nothing positive. It is negation. To be with what is letting go of 100 ways we generally operate, and is to stay aware of whatever is in us, around us, and so on. Therefore, to sum up everything, in this deliberation of discussing what is and what should be, I would once more say that what is about being with the fact, and what should be, etc., should be, could be, should have been, and so on, are all a domain of conjectures, a domain of imagination, and they are a domain where, really speaking, human intelligence terribly falls short of what is desired. With very limited intelligence, we are venturing to grasp something which is unpredictable. No wonder our chasing what should be causes disappointment, hurt, heartburn, and so on. Our being with what is could be the door to freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Vibhaji. Harshad Parekh sir, would you please unmute and say something? Parekh sir.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, very well.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. You explained very well about what is. There is an article in Commentaries on Living about this title is What Is and What Should Be. And in that article, a young lady, she is a mother, she comes to Krishnaji and she says that everything is all right, there is no problem in the family, but she feels that something is lacking in her life. There is no real creativity, no happiness. And though she is active in the social activities, something is lacking. And so she wanted to know what is it, why there is this conflict within her. And then Krishnaji says, what you are is more important than what you would like to be. So it is like a conflict between being and becoming. And this what is, that is continuously changing. Like if I give a metaphor, if you are sitting in the train and looking from the window and you see that uh, there are so many trees, fields, hills, and everything is passing by one city after another city. So, what is unfolding in front of your eyes, even without thinking, that what is changing continuously. And similarly, what is happening in our mind is also changing continuously. And if a person can be aware of this what is without what should be coming in the mind, then there is no conflict. And that moving with what is Krishnamurti's teachings. And in that, there is no observer separate from what is observed. And so there is no psychological time also. So moving with what is like moving with a wave of light, because when a person, if he able to move with the speed of light, then chronological time does not come into picture. The chronological time stops. Similarly, in moving with what is, without bringing what should be, the psychological time comes to a stop. So this is the real beauty of Krishnamurti's teachings, that one doesn't need to do anything except just observing what is and let it flow moment by moment. And that requires this, what he calls choiceless awareness. So this is what I understand, that Krishnamurti's teachings are about moving with what is. But when this what should be comes, then I feel that that what should be is also a kind of what is, because both what is and what should be, they are the product of thinking. So to realize that what should be is also a kind of what is, that requires a real awareness of what is. So what should be is a part of what is, I feel. And so uh, all we have to do is to watch whatever thoughts coming and going, and without calling it a good or bad thought, without analyzing. And that is all these teachings are. No need to read so much. no need to discuss so much, but just to watch whatever is happening in front of our eyes as well as what is happening in our mind. Okay, I have said enough thing right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harshad
Yeah.
sir. Anybody else can raise hand and speak. Dinesh Waghmare, please unmute.
Are you able to listen to me?
Yeah.
First of all, I will thank you both, Swamiji as well as Harshad sir. They have explained very well what should be and what is. What I would like to submit, first we should also understand, as per my views and my understanding, first what JK is saying. Then we will see what are the we can say that what are the complications or what are the things involved in it. As per JK, if you see what is, then you see the universe. This totality is covered in what is. And denying what is the origin of conflict. This has been very well explained by Swamiji as well as Harshad sir has also pointed out it. In other words, the beauty of universe is what is. The what is the beauty. And to live it, what is without effort is virtue. That's what he said. If there is no yardstick, as Swamiji said, if there is no yardstick or reference point at all, in other words, if there is no mind, what is comparing and measuring, then you can observe the what is, and then what is no longer same. That's what JK says. What he intends to say, as per my views, is when you see a thing, say tree, without distortion, if you think something, then there will be distortion. So you just be with the senses data, whatever the data senses are giving to you, picture of tree as such, picture of tree, the wind moving and all other things. So then there is no interference of thought. So that is a pure thing, pure observation. And as soon as thought comes, then also there is a perception, but that is distorted perception because now thoughts has got entry in it, or it has added some distortion in it. So perception can be distorted or perception can be pure. Now, so what he says, there is looking that is without interference, without distortion. Is there a perception? Now he says, whether is it possible that there is a perception without distortion? Then rightness is in the purely looking, which is attention without the distortion of measure and idea. Whatever we have discussed, he is also saying the same thing, that can you see the tree without any interference of the thought, basically. Because as soon as thought comes, then your all conditioning and other things comes into picture. Here we can also say that there are three things which he has explained at other places, that truth, reality and actuality. So truth is normally unknown or very less available to you as per your individuality and all that, depends on your state. But this reality is your all thought world. Whatever your conditioning is, whatever your past experience is and all that. And actuality is the fact, which is fact actually covers all the three things, but we can say for the time being that the thing which suppose I see a tree, you see a tree, The census data is same in both the cases. So and then we can recognize, say suppose we recognize that this is a mango tree, and the other person also says, yes, this is mango tree. So both are, of course, they are saying or naming it or terming it, but the basic fact is there is a tree which gives you the mango, right? So there are three things: truth, actuality, reality. Now here, why there is a discussion about this, what is and what should be. Normally, there is a state of your being which you experience. You feel either discomfort with it or disturbance with it, etc., etc. And that is what your what is. And you say that I should be like this. Means I should be more calm, more quiet, I should be less insecure, etc., etc. So that is ideal. Right now it is ideal. So we can say that it's a standard situation or idea or result or a state which you perceive in your ideas, that it should be the, if it is that state available to me, then I will be happy. So you come to say some person like JK or some other guru that or any teacher that I am having this problem and now I want to get rid of this problem. So Krishnamurti's approach is here very much unique, as said by Swamiji and Harshad sir has also pointed out. He says you remain with what is and attend to it, tackle it. So one thing is you remain with the what is, which Swamiji has explained, that you remain without any thought with the, suppose you are insecure, then you don't take the name of fear or insecurity and all that, but remain with the state what you are in. So that is okay. But suppose if you start remaining with what is for all the things, then that is good for monk. He is simply observing, pure observation he is doing, and he is seeing the things as such. No, he is not inclined to any side. He is not thinking about right and wrong and this thing, and he is just passively aware about this thing. And that is very good for the monk. But if you suppose you take a case of a student or a case of a young man who is going to factory or this corporate world, then what will happen? Can he remain passively with everything while he is having targets and all that and this thing? So here, in my views, Krishnamurti says that you remain with the what is, then you will get the what actually the truth of the situation is. You get the truth of the situation only if you are having insight in it. So here comes the self-knowing and other things, and whatever he has explained, that you should have the intelligence coming into picture, and wisdom, you should have wisdom and right understanding, wisdom and insight coming into picture. Then only you can see the truth of a situation and you can directly act from that insight, whatever the insight is there. So this is very important. Means when we say we remain with the what is, that is okay for some, in some this thing in some case, or some for some aspects, but in other aspects you have to be unless the intelligence is awakened, I think nobody can move forward. That's what my views are basically. So we have understood what is and tackle it, how to tackle it. Just a moment. So suppose I want to become something. Now it's a question of becoming. How becoming is tackled. So first we have to understand, as per my views, what is our conditioning. With self-knowing, of course, one has to go, and he has to see what is the difference between pure a standard case or an ideal arising from the conditioning versus the flowering. Flowering can be done of its original virtues or assets or the psychological traits available to him, which can be which as per his resources and his inner capacity, he can develop it, or he can go in that direction. Say suppose one has to go to engineering or one has to go to any other field, and he's having those traits available to him, and he's feeling inclined to go, he's having passion or inclined to go in that direction, then he can go in that direction. And that is what mean by the flowering. That's what my views are as per the JK. But if that becoming is suppose because of conditioning, or somebody has said to you that this is a good and this will give you a very good job and then you will get a very good package, there the problems comes. It is not as per your inner this thing, inner capacity or capability or traits or your inner urges or your inner inclinations, and you go for just somebody has said, or you are having some fancy idea about that field, and you see the people are going in that direction. It has got a very good market in the right in recent days. Then there is a problem. So one has to understand what is really flowering and what is difference in flowering and what is the difference between wrong thinking arising from a conditioned state. So this is what my submission is right now. Then we will see. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Harshad
Any
sir.
comment by Harshad sir?
Or
Yeah.
I am saying. Please go ahead. Harshad.
May I speak?
Yeah.
Okay. What Dinesh talked about is general psychology. What Krishnamurti says, it goes beyond psychology, rational thinking, and all that. What Krishnaji is saying, that when initially, when you have time to be by yourself, you observe your own mind and just do not do anything. You don't have a choice also, because your mind, if it is restless, it will go in all different directions. But Krishnamurti says, allow it to go wherever it wants to go. Don't correct it. And when a person initially is very curiously looking at his own mind, wherever it goes without correcting it, then there is some changes begin to happen. And then there is the possibility of moving without this observer coming into. And when this begins to happen, then it helps you in whatever work you are doing, whether in the factory or in the office or as a scientist. Your mind will become very silent and very curious, attentive to whatever you are doing. And so the byproduct of looking at what is without correcting, it makes you very efficient in whatever you do, even when you are working in the office or in relationship with other people. You don't immediately react and listen very carefully. So what Dinesh ji speaks is more seems like very different than Krishna ji. When he said totality and universe, I think there is no totality in our what is. What is a fragment, and it is changing continuously. We cannot see the whole. What is means whatever thoughts and feelings are arising, and also the movement of the thing physically outside us. So that can never be total universe. Only in silence, we don't have any idea about whether it is partial or total. But that is very relaxing a renewing thing to be silent and not use the word totality or universe. Those are ideological words, it seems to me. So this is what I want to say, that Krishnamurti's teachings can be, one can experiment initially when one is alone and one has a time, one has a curiosity and energy to look inward, and then it begins to work in our daily life activities, in relationship, in whatever work we are doing. So this is my experience over the years, that after looking carefully within me, I begin to understand myself as I am. And then when there is this understanding comes, what actually you are without any images, then even if somebody says something very disturbing, it doesn't make you feel bad. You just listen as it is. And either you see is it true or you see it as false, and you do not complicate the situation. So this is my view. It is not psychology what Krishnamurti is talking about. It is not about becoming somebody, or it is not about the daily life activity, how to be efficient. But this efficiency is a byproduct of looking carefully at our own mind. Uh, okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Naidu, please unmute and say. Mr. Naidu, please unmute and say.
Hello.
You please carry on. Mr. Naidu, is there any problem with you?
No.
So, please go ahead. Naidu?
Yes. What what is the thoughts in the past also is a set of thoughts. And if we are confusing with this words, thought processes and thoughts, we are confused. They are just words. But if you look deep into this thought, what is this thought? That is only, this thought, we are actually referring to the sensations happening in the brain. The sensations from the sensory organs, that is eyes, ears, tongue, nose, ears, we feel it. Oh, we say they are real. But the thought is also a sensation. It is actually, this is reality, sir. This is real. The thought is also a sensation that we are able to realize. This thought is also a sensation by looking deep into that, deep into our mind, into ourself, not in the external world. If you look deep into our this thing, it is we realize that it is a sensation. Sensation, that is a sensation, if we put it rhythmically, it is a vibration. Something, some movement is happening. Some wavy movement, something is happening. When the particle will remain there itself, but that movement is there. That is what is the thought. Now, what is our exercise, according to JK sir, what our exercise is, when we look into the deep into the thought, these vibrations, suppose you consider as per these vibrations or sensations, if you look deep into them, just to deep, no analysis, nothing, just we are observing. If you look deep into that process, it will subside. It will gradually decrease. The intensity will decrease. Then we see the reality. That is what is actual life. That is what is actual life. Other this thing, otherwise we are seeing only the sensory world created in the mind. That we are thinking is as life. That is not actual life. The actual life is when we look deep into our mind, and see this thought we call as vibrations will reduce the intensity gradually. Then we see the life. Then Krishnamurti sir is saying what should be, that is what, from what is to what should be. So when I say what should be, if I am thinking from what is, I am just observing, and if in that thought arises and vibration arises, thinking about what should be, then again I am putting this thing, process this intensity, one more thought I am putting, and this what should be is incomplete. Then to complete that, one more thought. Again, to complete that, one more thought. So this is going on. This is unending loop. Similarly, if you go back to past also, it is unending. Just observe it. What is, you observe it. So from a physics point of view, those vibrations should reduce. That's all. After there we can tell. Then again analyzing those vibrations, how they are all, then again it will lead to another this thing, another loop and another. So you should not go scientifically there. So just to look and observe that, then it will settle down. Then the life, so the life as it is just like a tree life, a tree or plant which is growing, it is automatic, it is happening. The tree is not having any mind, sensory organism, but it is growing, taking sunlight automatically. So when we see that life, when we observe, when we experience means though there is no thought there or there is no self there. So when we experience that thing, automatically everything is happening. So that is, you are in the fold, you are in the good hands of the infinite space and infinite energy. That is what I want to say. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Pradeep ji. Pradeep ji, please unmute and say.
I am audible?
Yeah, audible.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dinesh ji talked about, in nutshell, after a very long version, in nutshell, he was talking about understanding. Ultimately, he came to understanding of a situation, anything, understanding, which is also quite holistic in nature. Unlike knowledge, understanding is little at a higher level. Then Harshad Bhai talked most of the things, and he was talking basically about awareness. And out of awareness also, he was talking about, which he usually emphasizes on, is choiceless awareness. You see? So these are the two basic messages that come in. What is, to me, in all states, tells about me. Harshad talked about it. It tells about me and my attachments, my feelings, my relationships, if I am in awareness. Otherwise, what is for me is as per my conditionings. That is what is as per my conditionings, right? Then what is also tells me what should be. For example, today's problem in this thing, quality of video and audio, which is a mechanical process, of course, that what is created immediately in all of us, what should be. You see, so what is in most of the cases creates what should be. So that is it is not that what is a neutral thing. No, what is has already a relationship with me, already has a relationship with me. I may not be knowing, it may not be in my history, nothing, but it tells me if I am in awareness about me and my relationship, so-called outside and in me. So this is what I feel. Then what should be is the basis of psychological time. Any what should be that includes all the desires we have, and that creates a tension in one's nerves, leading to neurosis of all types. This we all have felt it. If you go little recall, this happens to all of us. To me, this is a wave from the past through present, stretching into the future. You see, magnitude of this wave depends on the intensity of my cravings. So this stretching of nerves takes a lot of energy. You see, much more than the physical work. So this is all what I want to say. This it has become interesting, this topic today, through these discussions. But this is not so difficult, not difficult at all for all of us. We have been listening to what JK said or what you understood. All these things we all know. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for giving me time.
What,
Harshad sir,
Pradeep sir,
Harshad sir.
how do you
Yeah,
tackle what
Harshad
should
sir.
be?
Thank you, Pradeep. Harshad sir, please
And-
comment on Naidu and Pradeep.
No, I don't have right now any comment. So let Ravi Kaushal or somebody
Okay.
want to speak.
Okay, Ravi, please.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Oh, audible.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, sir. Okay.
As usual,
I think
not
Harshad.
visible.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now I am visible, sir.
Okay, you are
Good video.
colored visible. Colored visible.
Out of blue in blue.
Yeah. This
Man in blue.
Harshad is. Hmm? Yes, sir.
Blue.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. Okay. There's a blue light actually in my on my the chat pe. So Harshad is saying that being is what is. So I object that. I think the being is not what is. What is a moving thing, and the being is always you are. You are always there. So this one thing is I'm saying that, and as Harshadji said that what is changing. So the one who see the what is not available to is not there at all the time. But I'm saying that I think that I see that this awareness is not moving. It is what is which is moving. So this one thing, and like somewhere 9 days before I experienced that when I was moving, that am I moving, these kind of stuff coming anyhow. So seeing, as I said, that seeing actually the awareness is seeing. So seeing is not moving with what is. I see like that, and the seeing what is, when you see what is, it reveals what it is. The seeing of what is reveals what it is, but not the knowledge which you have about what it is. That is the basic difference I see. I have knowledge how heart is moving and all that, but if I've seen it in my own in the movement of my thoughts and in the movement of my feelings. If I've seen that that understanding has nothing to do with the knowledge. That is one thing I see, which is, and one thing Dinesh Maria said that intelligence needs to move forward. Where intelligence wants to move? Intelligence doesn't. I don't think so. Why wants to move? What is the energy which intelligence required to move? Where? What to understand for the intelligence? If you there's nothing to understand for the intelligence if you are in that state. So, and as I said, that understanding of the beingness is not beingness itself. like the understanding of any apple, like the understanding of the me, whatever understanding you have, is not the actual thing. You know, this one thing I see, and one thing this Pradeep Verma ji said very beautifully. What is about me. What is all me. Is all me. So I'm saying that I'm not saying that what is about me. I'm saying that what is me. That is one thing I see the difference. And also, many times Harshad ji talks about experience and all that. I ruthlessly, I, I object that. Is moving the memory. Why? That is one thing which I don't see. Experience and he talked about the efficiency. Through awareness comes efficiency. Efficiency of what? It is not that awareness brings efficiency. Awareness brings more silence and more stability in the mind. Then the mind is not disturbed by all the content of the consciousness. That is one thing. Anyhow, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Harshad sir, please comment now, please.
No, I think the same thing. People have a different views of the same thing. So these words which we are using, they are interpreted by different people differently. So what I meant by being means being what you are. If you are really unhappy, then that is being, and you want to be happy, that is becoming. So in that sense, I had used the word being and becoming. Being means what you are, and becoming means what you would like to be. So in that sense, I had used the word, and I used the word efficiency. It is only because Dineshji talked about being efficient in the work which you are doing in the office or factory. So that's why I said that when you really understand your mind and your mind becomes very silent and very perceptive, you don't create many problems for yourself and for other people. And then whatever you do, it will be very good. And in that sense, I said that there will be efficiency in your life, in the quality of your life. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Modak, you are writing things. Would you please say whatever you wanted to say? Kamlesh Modak first, and then Dinesh.
I wanted to say only one thing, that self or the ego, which is in problem, which is facing difficulty, which is facing conflict, which is facing contradiction, it has the need of the intelligence and awareness. Otherwise, if there is no problem, then everything is okay. But when the person or individual is in problem, then he has to seek something deeper. He has to see what is going on inside him. So he has to understand what is, and what is also indicates what are your shortcomings. And as Dinesh has said, it is the basis which can lead to your inner flowering or the tendencies which are hidden inside you. So it can indicate, and when one perceives that, he can grow in his life to his fullness. So understanding what is very much necessary, and understanding what should be, because what should be is a reaction to what is. So to understand the reaction is also very much important. That much I have to say.
Thank you very much, Modak. Dinesh, please end it now.
First of all, I would like to say that Pradeep ji has very beautifully said today, but he has not
Everybody has
gone
listened that. Everybody has listened
beyond what should be, how to tackle what should be. Anyway, we will listen from him next time. Modak ji has also said very good. My submission to Harshad sir is, okay, I also understand what is the other dimension and other things coming into the picture, and real intelligence coming into picture inside, etc. But when we start from the beginning, and today's topic is what is and what should be. So when one has to start from the beginning, he has to understand what is, and he has to go from where he is at. He doesn't know what is the other dimension and what is the other awareness, heightened awareness, and all that. So he has to start from where he is, and then only as soon as the purity comes to him, understanding comes to him, and wisdom comes to him, then he will automatically understand what you are saying. So we say that it can be, it will not involve time, but in most of the cases, what I have seen, it will definitely involve time. So from where we are starting, there the things will be like this only. You have to take the help of analysis in the case of office work and other things, and then slowly, as you grow, then you may not be requiring the time. So that's a different point altogether. Similarly, what Ravi Kaushal has said, why understanding is required. Basically, it is like asking why maturity is required, or why wisdom is required. If that is not there, then you cannot tackle the life situation. So suppose you have got a choiceless awareness and you have understood a situation in pure way, but then again you have to take action now. So what action you can take and what action you cannot take. And suppose intelligence is not coming into picture, you are not getting that insight, direction from intelligence. What you will do? You have to go with your past experience. You have to go with your the present thing and that. So that's why this is required, understanding and all that. So these both are the important aspects, as Pradeep ji has also confirmed, and Modak ji has also said. These both things are to be done. Self, one has to, for understanding and intelligence, one has to go through the self knowing. One has to go through all the process. What I'm using wrongly the word process because the right word is not available. But you have to go through that thing which he says self knowing, then your understanding, wisdom, and all that. What JK is pointing out. Thank you.
Now I am ending it.
Do that.
Please end, Modak, please end it.